flintlock muskets. That's the long version that the infantry had, and this is a shorter one called a carbine, which we, the artillery, carried. We have it on a strap across our back. Opening up this strap, you see, makes it nice and long. Put it across the back to carry it like that, whilst you're using mortar and hand. That was our range. So we were just using these. This is why that short one is too long. And
the longer the gun, the longer more the accuracy.
The more
or?
no, we don't mention accuracy. Is not a word we use with these. At least not then.
No.
The British Army never opened fire at more than 100 yards because of that.
Right.
And the ball drops so very quickly. We've got a ball here, we'll show you in a moment. Very, very heavy, and it drops so quickly that at 100 yards, if you're firing from the shoulder, as these were fired, purely volley fire, no sights, the ball would be down at knee level by 100 yards, so it's dropping very, very quickly. So it was useless firing at much more than 100 yards. Occasionally they were told to raise the barrel, which would of course make the range a bit longer, but it's a very, very indefinite and inaccurate system. These days we can fire them properly with modern gunpowder on a proper range at 300 yards and hit a man-sized target fairly well. The problem is we have to aim right at the top of the tree, that big green one over there, not this one, the one beyond. Right up there we have to aim like this to hit the target down there, because the ball drops off so very, very quickly. I'll show you what it looks like. Made of lead, cast, as you can see, in 6 at a time. This was punishment. We were naughty. We've got to have to cast 500 of these. And very, very long job that was. Very hot, and that's how they were produced. They were given to the armourer like that, and then his apprentices would take them off of there with a very cunning set of cutters, and they'd be put in the bottom of a tube on cartridge paper. You know what you use that for these days? You use it for drawing on. But in those days it was made specifically for making cartridges, which is what this is. That was carried in this magnificent handbag, which I have on.
Man bag. We have a wooden block with holes drilled in it to hold all the cartridges that would be up like that.
A few other things in there as well, though. That's what it was like.
Also, the bottoms there weren't stitched. Any reason why they never stitched the bottoms up of them? There, the corners. Any reason?
Can you think of why? Cartridges sit in the box like that, you see. But if they were to spill, you'd have loose powder in there. It's very dangerous. It's the slightest spark, and you're up in smoke.
If you're walking past a campfire, it would be pretty...
Campfire smoking, a spark from a musket or anything can set it off. It's very, very volatile, black powder.
So that's why
if you see the touch hole and what a spark has to go through, you realise how volatile black powder is, or gunpowder.
In the front here we've got a pouch for flints. We were given a flint for every 5 rounds of ammunition. So we always had a new one to put in. That's what that little pouch is there for. It's a waterproof cover and a spark-proof cover.
Spark-proof, waterproof.
Okay. So it was used and loaded in a very particular way.
Chamois.
I'll show you how that was done.
Soft chamois. So the idea is, if we were in battle, we'd have that open, we could lift that, put our hand in, and it would fall straight back without a spark. Then we'd have the cartridge to hand straight away. So it's quite easy. It's like that. It's nice and easy. Might have brought them here to make it easier, or wherever you want it. But normally you dress with it at the side.
Now very quickly I'll run through how it's loaded and how the soldiers then had to do it. You have to learn 16 different steps. It's ever so laborious, and you have to practice it every day, day in and day out, and every single day until they were absolutely certain you knew exactly what you were doing all the time. Because the object was to get you trained up to shoot 3 shots per minute. Now with a modern gun, you can fire 300 a minute. But one of these, 3 a minute, is a challenge. So the British Army were trained to do it. They were the only people in the world who managed it seriously and legibly. So it's quite an art. Choose to train to do it and to work it properly. Now, normally we start off from here at shoulder arm, and I'll show you how it was done, okay? So from shoulder arms, the order would be prepare to load, so you bring the musket down, bring it to, I'm showing you it's not loaded, if I don't do that. Naughty me. Down, okay? Just a bit of grease. Okay, so prepare to load, bring the musket down, cock, hammer back to there, prism open, handle cartridge, bring up cartridge out of the box and bring it up to there. Why do you think it's there?
So you can bite it.
Possibly, but it's not loaded yet. So, you've got to open it somehow.
Bite the top off.
Your hands are a bit busy, aren't they? So what you do is bite the top off it. Okay. So you had to have at least the thumb and 2 fingers on this hand and a couple of teeth at net. Otherwise you were no good to the army in that respect. So that's what you have to do. So you bite the top off, sprinkle some powder into the pan, use powder, thumb on the top so you don't spill the rest, fingers onto hips. The next order would be shut pan or about, depending on which regiment, which is shut the pan, bring the musket about, pour the rest of the gunpowder, charge the powder, pour the rest of the gunpowder down the barrel, and follow that with the ball still wrapped in the paper. Now that does 2 things. I'll show you the loose fit you should have done. Because the ball there, look, it's a very loose, roughly fit, isn't it? So it's no good just putting it in and leaving it in there because it will roll out the end. If you fire shooting your enemy downhill, the ball will roll out the end. That's no good. So you leave the paper on there and then draw ramrod and ram cartridge like that. Turn ramrod like that. Present arms, come up to there, and then you go back to bit of fire in that direction. Okay, so level your firelock, cock your firelock, and give fire. Now, if you look carefully, you might see the sparks. We'll do it again. Have a look just there. Big sparks here. So that's what lights the fuse. So you spark, that will go whoosh. 1 or 2 sparks pass through that little hole, hopefully, and that's what fires it off. So there's a lot of hope involved, but they did work most of the time, and they were the best there was around at the time, so you can't want better than that, can you? Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to load it up for you, and then get you on. Now, anybody got any questions so far? Yes?
Are these one of the kind of guns that you have to hold in the right hand or the flash goes off in the press?
Absolutely so, yes, well done. I didn't ask whether anybody's left-handed, are you? Maybe not. Can you manage to do that to be right-handed?
We never had anybody left-handed in the British Army.
The problem is, you see, there's lots of sparks of smoke here, as our friend said, and that's going to go shooting straight across in front of your face. It's no good in this. So we'll help you to fire it right-handed, okay? Most people who are left-handed that fire this right-handed do very, very well, because they concentrate on what they're doing, and they hold it ever so carefully. Right? So, no pressure there to get it right. Right, yes.
The infantry had a long brown vest. It was longer when we started the American War. It was shortened. Any reason why we never shortened it any more than that? Does this give you an idea? Take the bayonet. Exactly. Bayonet. The idea is, with the bayonet of that size, if it has the carbine, you can see how short it is. When you form square to receive cavalry, And I don't mean make them a cup of tea and give them a bit of Madeira cake. It means that cavalry coming down to try and chop your heads off. When you go to the on guard, you can reach the man or dragoon on a horse. So you can't have that much sabre any bigger than about that because you can't do it. The momentum of it is much bigger than pulling off the horse. The idea is that we could reach him before he can reach us. We've had about that much life insurance. Which is why I start saying inches is no good, is it?
Well, inches, you know. I mean, yes.
If I said 8 to 12 inches, it's gone, and I've got conversion
200, 300 metres.
200, 300 mil. All right. That's why it was never shortened anymore. That is not a sight. That is for the bayonet. Bayonet light fitting. Where did it come from?
A few other sayings come from this period as well as the bayonet.
Flash in the pan.
Sorry?
A flash in the pan.
Flash in the pan, exactly. So,
No one likes to know or officer material. We don't need people that are angling to become an officer.
If when you tried to fire it, the fuse powder went off, but no spark went through to set the charge off, that was known as a flash in the pan. We use it today to mean nothing very useful or an inconsequential thing, but then it could mean your life, because as a raw recruit, the first time you actually got to fire this was when you went into battle. You practiced it, you practiced loading it, dummy loads, but you never actually did it until you were in battle. Just occasionally, they would give you a little bit of gunpowder to put in there, and let you see it go off, which I'm going to show you now. So I'll show you the flash in the pan. I'm going to do it right back here because of the smoke and the spark, okay? And you all see it. Here's where you want to look, okay? Bring it back to full pop, pointing at the inside. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Now that's going to happen in front of your face, about here. Alright? So be prepared.
But we will be giving you goggles, don't worry.
But that meant, of course, if that happened and it hadn't gone off, it meant the charge was still going. And you've got a sergeant behind you, probably or shouting to you to reload. So you come back and you do all this reload again, ran it all down. You come back to fire again. You've got 2 charges on it now. And that goes off. It's going to be one heck of a recoil from you. And it'll throw you on your back, possibly break your shoulder. Okay. If it still doesn't go off, and you reload again, you've then got 3 charges down there. Now there is a bit of a clue here, because the first charge you've loaded to there, the second one would be about there, the third one would be about there. Can you see there's a bit of a clue there, isn't there? There's something happening, and you think perhaps you might think about it, but when you're in battle for the first time, you're thinking about so many other things, and the corporal shouting behind you, get that man, get that ready, get that musket ready, fire, and so on, you see. So it's a bit difficult. The worst one we know was a bit after our period, on the Battle of Waterloo. One man was found laying on top of his musket, where he'd been killed unfortunately. He had 7 charges in it. It was a long one, admittedly, but 7 comes to about here. You think something would have sort of clicked, you know, I'm not going to fire this, but you didn't have any choice. You were doing what you were told to do. And that's what life in the army was about.
It's all right while you're here, all nice afternoon, but when you're terrified and people are firing at you, there's so much smoke, noise, it's quite easy to think how easy it would have been to do it.
Right, one other quick saying that comes to mind. When you've been in battle, you have to clean this, and the easiest way to clean it is to take the lock out and the barrel off. Give it a thorough clean, and then you put it all back together again. Now if you're in the middle of doing that and the enemy suddenly have a charge, you'd be told to man the posts, so you've got to go to your perimeter place, wherever you are supposed to be to defend yourselves, and you have to take all the bits of the musket with you, the lock, the stock and the barrel, take all of that with you, and then you can probably put it together when you get there, hopefully. So the saying lock, stock and barrel, which means everything, came from this particular gun. We'll show you some more later on, but perhaps we ought to get on with firing.
Let's do some shooting.
Yeah, come on, let's do that.
Any volunteers to be first? Oh, right. In here. Right, let's see. That one fits
We're
in.
going to ask you to walk into a shirt. You know, like you do at school for painting. You go like that, put a shirt on back to front, don't you? That's just going to protect your clothes and your neck, okay?
No, walking. Drop the trigger. You can't keep your hand forward. Right, take that one away. Put its shoulder in there. Put that hand there. Put that hand there. Don't put your finger on the trigger until you're told. I'll put it on full cock. Now get your head right down there. Look along it. Aim about there on him. Right? About there, so it comes up. When you put your fingers on the trigger, you can put both fingers on the trigger if you wish. Like that. Put your head, keep your head down like that. Both fingers, that one as well. Right, can you line it up? Tell me if you want to go up, down, or... You good? Fire at your will. A flash in the pan. About there.
Whoa.
Finger off the trigger. When you're ready, squeeze the trigger.
It went on his leg.
Whoa.
That was a good one.
That's a very good one. There. Okay, take this hand away. And that one, don't put it on the trigger yet. Put your hand there. Don't put it on, and that one over the top like that.
Whoa.
Look along there. And make sure that it's about there. So tell me if you want it up or down. Huh? Sorry, it's there. That right, I'm putting it on full cock. Finger on the trigger, and when you're happy, squeeze the trigger.
Whoa.
Oh, you got it right. Right in his tummy. 3, 2, 1, fire.
3, 2, 1.
Whoa.
Oh, took the top of his hat off. Let's have a look. Try that one. That's better, huh?
Right on the thigh, you've got it. You see the orange and yellow bit yeah?
You happy with that? Right, that hand, squeeze the trigger when you're happy.
Whoa.
Good shot. That would have definitely stopped him. See, it depends where you are. You know, if you're in China, you haven't got wheat, you've got rice. Don't forget Chinese invented gunpowder. So you'd like 80 grains. You can wet them and soak them to make them bigger or weightier. But it's normally, it was a balanced weight of grains of corn, or the big one before that meal, not afterwards, you know, or grains of wheat, of rice. That's the theory behind 80 grains, or a measurement of grains. At the moment now, I can never remember what it is to the ounce. A friend of mine can, I can't.
3,000 to the pound, actually.
Also, if you didn't know, they used to make gunpowder in Yule. We had our own gunpowder mill.
Yes.
From 1750.
Yeah, on the river, wasn't it?
Yep.
Through the board's coming out right. So put your finger on there, like that, and put it down. Come out again. No, your finger on there. You've never done it that way, because if you went forward and slipped and it fired off, you burnt all your fingers. So you can't work the mechanism later on. So the idea was always pull it back like that, or like that. Keep your fingers out like that. I'll leave it all to you. Then head right down. You actually...
It's a lot more noise.
Can't stop. You hit you with that. There. Get your break. Right, now you want that.
Broken into two.
Well, I suppose sort of expected, because we had normally a very good...
That would be your last volley. You've done 2. The last volley would be about that distance. And out of the smoke, you'd either charge or stood to receive under the smoke. You see, we're giving you a tenth of the powder. You imagine the multiply the smoke by 10 by 250, there would be a massive cloud of smoke. So you'd have fixed bayonets on your last load, and out of the smoke you would have either charged, hoping the enemy would break, or stood and waited to receive them. Normally you'd charge through the smoke at them. Going back earlier to places like Culloden, when the redcoats were at Culloden, the Scots used to have a round type shield, which I can never remember the name of.
Targe.
Sorry?
Targe.
Targe, with a cross steel on it. As they'd come up to the infantry, they'd go down, well, they'd get to 20 metres, fire off all their ordnance, out the smoke, they would charge at the British. No, it'd be English then, not British. English. And go down on one knee. The bayonet would come towards them, they would sweep the bayonet away with the
Targe.
and then take your legs away with the broadsword. Until the officer commanding said, you defend your man to your right. So when he goes down on one knee and goes like that, you prick him with the bayonet.
Now you've seen the brown vest as it was, with the bayonet on. This is what came along next. This is called a Baker rifle. Now the name rifle was a bit of a clue. These are smoothbore, they've got no rifling in them, no grooves in them. This was made with a groove in it, which meant when you load it, the bullet, or ball bullet in this case, has to pick up on that rifling, and you have to push it down the rifling all the way. And that takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. So these weren't very popular with the troops. When they were first introduced, they all refused to use them. 3 reasons. A, it took a long time to load. B, it was very, very much heavier because it's much thicker metal. And C, it's got sights. I mean, goodness me, no one's ever taught them to use sights. So they had to actually use sights to see where they were going to shoot. So it was very, very unpopular. So what they did was to form a couple of brigades of men, which is a big group of men, and they became the rifle brigades. So they would suit, equipped with these, and they became the rifle brigades, and that's where they got from. They wore a green uniform, and they would go out into battles with these, because these had a far better range. They could shoot 400 or 500 yards accurately or more. They would go out and pick off the officers, shoot the officers of the enemy, so that they were not there to control the men, the other commanders. So they were snipers basically. But of course, if they were caught by cavalry, it's even shorter than the ones we were using there. So they had to come up with a way of defending themselves. So what they had was this great big thing here.
Sword thing.
A sword. That fits onto the side of that. And as you see, it gives you the same length to defend yourself. So if the cavalry come charging along, you can still take a stand and defend yourself. That's what you had to do. And this is called a sword bayonet. And when the brigades, the rifle brigades, actually are told to fix bayonets, they're not told to fix bayonets, they're told to fix swords, because that's what they were doing. They were largely used for chopping firewood, as I understand it, for the records as far as I can find, because they really actually had to use them in battle, because they were in green, which blended with the trees, so a form of camouflage, and they were therefore kept put out of the way. So that seems a good idea there. But this is very, very much heavier than that one. I believe there's a trimming here for the carrier. So that's the Baker rifle. This is a smoothbore version, but it works exactly the same otherwise. Got a little bit of flint and it sparks off there. Came with its own toolkit, cleaning purposes, to make sure it was alright. So you kept it nice and clean. Clive's got something else for you there. What's that? Yes, right.
Tray?
Not far off.
Is it a plate?
It's a plate.
It's a plate.
That is, when you join the Army or Navy, you got 3 square meals a day. That is your square meals. That little hole there, any idea what it's for?
Salt. Pepper?
Who said that? Salt, it is. And if you didn't work hard enough, and the corporal would say, he's not worth his salt. So you had no salt. If you're in a hot climate, you crave for salt. The food was very bland anyway, if not a bit on the dodgy side. A bit of salt would kill the flavour or enhance flavour, whatever you'd like to put it. That's why. Now, round the plate, what's that called? Stum. Sorry, what's it called? I'm just my colleague here is helping too much. What is that bit called round the plate? No? I only found this out the other day. It's called the fiddle. So if you went up and put too much on and it went on the fiddle, the sergeant would say, he's on the fiddle. And your dinner went back because you had too much. So if you're on the fiddle, that's what it means, not what it means today. We took these out and said, okay, what's that for? You fag ash. But that is a square meals a day. Co-form mortar. We, as my colleague said, are artillerymen. We would carry that behind the infantry to give it transport. It never had wheels. That it was carried by 4 men. We had another 2 at least with panniers carrying ammunition. That would log 5 kilo ball, about 600 metres. So the idea was you'd come up behind your infantry if you were advanced and discourage the enemy from regrouping. Because the idea was we were always in line. The French, who were always seemed to be the chaps who were fighting, were in column. So if they had tactical withdrawal or retreated and started to regroup, we would come up, slap that down and lob a couple of shells at them. Anyone knows between shot and shell?
It's shot like solid and shell hard.
With cast iron splinters? Yes. Concussion, which means the actual shot, it could incapacitate, not actually totally wipe out, incapacitate up to 100. And that would discourage another 100 from getting together. That was the idea of it. But it was a very, very handy piece. John, have we got time to fire this? Yeah. Right. See this? Now, what we do, girls, we go to shows. And our teddies and our bears like flying. So we normally fly teddy bears or little dogs out the cannon. So who wants their little teddy bear to fly today? Who's got their teddy bear with them? You got yours with you, mate? Could you give me the long land pattern, please? Right. Thank you. Don't often do this, but you better have a boy do it. What boy likes garlic? Right. You were first with your hand up. I know you with that hat on, you look like a boy. I did say boy. It's just you know what's coming next, don't you? All right. As this was the only girl that put her hand up. Come on. Forwards. Right. Stand there, please, young lady. Take that. I want one hand there and one hand there. Right. Since you like garlic, you'd have to. You would have to push that through the enemies who usually don't stump. So when he was dying, you would smell the garlic on his breath. That's how close you've got. Now, could you do it? Not to me. You reckon you could do that, do you?
You're not insured for it, right?
I've got the hand here and a little glint in her eye. I'm a bit worried here. But that is why I think you'd have to like garlic or get the taste for it. You smelt it on your breath. You taste it in the air. Yeah? You're braver than I thought. I'll be running. You want to try the weight of it? Come on. All those that line up want to... We didn't have wristwatches then. I know I've got one on, but we've got a certain amount of time. Go on, you try it. No, you'd hold it. You wouldn't hold it up like that to bang at someone. You'd be down there. Like, no, down there. Like that. You couldn't bang it.
Steady, Alex.
You like that? You say, hang on, right, you got it like that. Take that off. Just that little bit of weight throws you right out of balance. Does. Who else wanted it? Hang on, let's get these two. Come here, come on, quick. You ready with everything, John? Right, the weight. Well, you get the banker, it's so much heavier. Who else was it that hadn't been? You come forward, little one. There you are. Hold that. Oh, you couldn't even get it up there, could you, mate? Right, we'll take that off, make it easier. That better? Yeah. Right, who else was there? Right, get this one out of the way. And then we get down to that. Oh, left-handed, didn't you? I said you can't have any left-handed people in the British Army. You reckon you could do it? Yeah, they'll reckon they could kill me. Who else was it? Some of the young ladies. Go on, hand it. They all want to stab me, John. They're dead keen on. No, that's right, you are. Come on, Miss Kitty. Yeah, you reckon? Yeah, well, she would, definitely. Anyone else want to have a go? Right, we're ready for the musket, the mortar, John. You want one for Christmas now? When's your birthday?
9 days.
9 days. Where's your mum? Christmas list, birthday list, one brown best musket. 1722. Right, now, we'll have to come round. Please all come behind.
Everybody round the back.
Round the back, please.
That in the battle.
If it went out, you were flogged. We all know what a flogging is, don't we? No?
No?
Right.
We don't know.
Well.
Should we do it? Oh, please do. Don't. If you take up this, I will go and show them what we would have done to him. Right, yeah, well, do the shot, John, and I'll come up and tell them what flogging is.
Let me just do this first. I have to ask you to stand right. Mind the rope behind you, don't trip over. Now, this is a special fuse called a quill. Have you ever heard of a quill pen?
Yeah.
Yep. That was made from a goose feather, generally. The hollow part of the goose feather. That was deflowered, you know, all the feathers off it, cut to make a pen kit, wasn't it? Used like that. This is the same thing. This was used in those days, it was made from a goose feather. Had some gunpowder put down the middle of it, and that gave them a fuse. So when it was raining and you couldn't put loose powder on here to fire it, which you normally